Yes.
You're right. Specific. Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome
Welcome.
to Friends Talk Mashiach.
Let's talk
Here we are
Mashiach.
again discussing the weekly Dvar Malchus, Dvar Malchus Beshalach, and we're just going to start off with a kapitel of the Rabbi Melech HaMashiach. Shir Hamalais Elech Anasasias Einai Hayoshvi Bashamayim Hine Einai Avadim El Yad Adonaihem Keinei Shivcha El Yad Virta Keinei Nenu El Adonai Lehinu Aji Chanenu Chanenu Adonai Chanenu Ki Rav Savanu Vuz Rabba Savala Nafshinu Halal Hashanani Mabuzli Gayaini Yechi Adonai Marinu Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Elam Baz. So we were saying that this week's Dvar Malchus is very interesting. It's a bit cryptic, so I wanted to just go over it a little bit in like simple English, see how we understand it, and then we'll get and then we'll get into Rabbi's Chidushim and our insights, whatever we took from it.
Yeah.
So okay, and very, very, very short. Like, okay, the Rebbe speaking now about how we're coming up to Shabbos Shira. We're coming up to Yud Shvat and the Hilula of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and it's the time where all of his Maisim, all of his Avodah of a Tzaddik on the day of his Hilula, it reaches a higher level of, it reaches on the day of his passing, it reaches his whole purpose and Avodah and mission reaches a state of completion, of fulfillment, of actualization. And how much more so on the day of the anniversary of the passing on the Hilula, which all of his efforts shine even brighter and brighter, and have a greater, his accomplishments have an even greater effect in the world and on us, the ones who are connected to him, so on and so forth. And in the wake of the Sicha, the Yurtzeit Yud Shvat came out on Yom Revi'i, on Wednesday, and it culminates on Shabbos. Everything during the week culminates on Shabbos and reaches its peak, in which it could affect us even more. We could have the full effect of the Inyan. So, and specifically, this falls on Shabbos Shira, and Shira is the Inyan of Aliyah, of an ascent, and a Hayilula is also the Inyan of an ascent. So all the ascent, the Rebbe is saying that Shabbos Shira is actually a Shabbos Klalis in a way for all of the ascents that will happen throughout all the Shabbosim of the whole year.
Why is Shabbos Shira an ascent?
Because Shira is like when you sing, you're leaving from one level to the next, something like that. Okay. And there's also a pasuk called Yotzim Bashir Olim, which is something like everybody who, I don't remember the details of it, but the Inyan of song is the Inyan of ascent, and the thrust is to go higher and leaving the previous level and ascending into a higher level and being absorbed in that higher level, and so on and so forth. And
so I'm reading here, maybe because when we sing, it's like a yearning, that we're yearning to go out of our level that we're at and reach higher level. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like two forms of song that the Rebbe is going to speak about, the thrust of yearning, desiring and yearning, something that you don't have that you want. And then there's like his kalalos, being absorbed in a higher entity, into that higher reality.
That's from on top to below. That's the opposite direction.
Yes, exactly. So exactly, the yearning is from milamata l'mayla, and the being absorbed is from, and unifying is from milamayla l'mata. Exactly.
And then you have both together. Obviously, the Rebbe always puts things together.
Exactly. He's going to bring them both together and show us how we need to be straddling both, but more of an emphasis on the here and now, being unifying with the reality here and now.
Right.
Now that we are in the last generation of Galus, first generation of Gola, and so on and so forth. Right. And so then the Rebbe takes us on this journey. How does this relate to the parsha that we're in? Since everything is exact, it falls on this parsha, Beshalach, and then Yisra and Mincha, and how it all relates to Yud Shvat and Shabbos Shira and the message that the Rebbe has for us today. So, so more specifically about this week's parsha, Beshalach and Yisra, it's all a hachana leading up to Matan Torah. And what's happening in this week's parsha? It's Kriyas Yam Suf and Milchemes Amalek, and those two, it's the Shleimus of Yetzias Mitzrayim through Kriyas Yam Suf, Milchemes Amalek, and this leads us to Parshas Yisro, to Yisro, who hears about this and comes to acknowledge Hashem in a way that enables the Jewish people to finally receive the Torah. Wow. And the Rebbe says this whole inyan of preparation for Matan Torah is still relevant to us today, continues to be relevant, as it is also the beginning of the preparation for the Matan Torah La'azid Lavai of Torah Chadasha Miti Tetzei, a whole new level of Torah, or the essence of the Torah that will be revealed to us on a whole new level through Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Started with Alter, right? Yeah,
exactly. And I'm just gonna say in my language, in my words. So that the whole inyan of Vehi Beshalach Parai Sa'am, that Parai, essentially the Rebbe explains that the distance between Yetzias Mitzrayim, between Mitzrayim and Eretz Yisrael, was supposed to be 11 days, 11 journeys, 11 stops, whatever, so on. However, the Eibishter wanted to take us on a longer route that will enable us to go through 40 years through the desert, 42 journeys in the Midbar, and that will enable us to be fully prepared to be Kalim, vessels to receive the Gilui, the revelation of the Eibishter by Matan Torah. And
but 40 was only after Matan Torah. The 40. Oh, we went to 40 places. Not 40. I'm thinking
it was
42
years. Journeys.
Oh, 42 journeys.
42 okay. Journeys in the Midbar. And it took 40 years till we entered into Eretz Yisrael.
Right. But the 42 journeys were before Matan Torah, right?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't
know. No, right. It was during those 40 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Because exactly. So going through this, taking this whole detour was for the purpose of recognizing this level of the Eibishter, that's Atzmos and Mahus, the essence of Hashem himself, that was that to come to this level of recognition, then by Matan Torah, we're able to receive it and then dry inwardly, bepnimius, and affect the world with it, draw it into the world as well. And then
so is it because
enter into
Matan Torah, I'm saying it wasn't 42 Masais and 40 years before we got Matan Torah, but you're saying after we got the Torah, it took 40 years to internalize.
Exactly. Yes, okay. Exactly. Like in total. And but in order to get to Matan Torah, there had to be this encounter of like with this specific level, if you want to call it a level, the essence of Hashem that we wanted to be able to internalize. But there had to be that encounter before Matan Torah through the inyan of what happened by Vahi Beshalach Paro Sa'am, that Parai sent us off for some reason, right? We're going to understand that. Parai sent us off. Kriyas Yam Suf, and then we were still afraid of the Mitzrayim until we saw that they were fully dead. And then Amalek coming and defeating Amalek, and Yisrael acknowledging all of that, and so on and so forth, acknowledging the Bish. So what is this? So the Rebbe says that this whole inyan of 11 days, that in order to come to the level of 11, we had to take this detour in order to retrieve that God consciousness that fell into the klippas. So what is 11, what's 10? We're gonna get into it, but I also want to make things very simple. I did not get there yet. I'm just trying to go over the sicha first. Yeah. So the inyan of 11 is the one that's above 10, and the one that's above 10 is the one that cannot be counted. It can't be calculated. It can't be counted. It's the essence. It's the essence of the Eibishter himself, and that is it's like a God consciousness, that an awareness of the Eibishter that Hashem wants us to have in order to actually affect ourselves and the world with Torah and mitzvahs. And that
like our 10 peiches, like to permeate our 10 peiches, like that's the 10 sort of, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, the 10 is like the 10, that the whole world is creating the system of tens, of the tens.
Right.
Teva of the, yes, exactly. The spheres, the 10 utterances, the speeches that Hashem said to create the world, and even Asar Sedibres relates to the 10, to the system of 10 of godliness that's within the world. But then there's the godliness that's above the world. And that's a godliness, that's a consciousness of Hashem, an awareness of Hashem that doesn't take anything into consideration. It's antuchad veloy bechushban. It takes nothing into consideration, and nothing is an obstacle in the face of this antuchad veloy bechushban, the 11.
Right.
So that's the awareness.
So by the way, that's my big. I think our big question that we were chatting on the group is, if it doesn't take into consideration, it feels invalidating. So that's like a whole.
That's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so let's get there. I'm just going to explain a little bit of this piece in the Sicha, where when the Yidden still feared the Mitzrim, and only by hi Daphne, thanks for joining. When the
Hi.
Yidden still feared the Mitzrim until they were like until the sea like blurted them out, and then they were able to see that they were dead. And finally, their Amuna in Maisha and Amuna in the Abishter was complete. Um, because they no longer had that fear of the nations of the Mitzrim. And then by defeating Amalek, they defeated that. Also, Amalek comes to tell us like to doubt that Emunah and Hashem, and to get us to take into consideration the world. Like, oh, okay, like you believe in Hashem, so on and so forth, but okay, don't get too excited. Don't like it's not such a big deal. Like blah blah blah. Like it's come and cools us down. So it's like this whole thing of taking the world into consideration and like seeing the world as
Right.
this obstacle, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what was like retrieved from the nations, that antuchad v'lei b'chushban, that the essence of the Abishter, so to speak, that realization, that awareness that the world is not an obstacle. In the face of the Abishter, nothing
An
is
obstacle,
count,
obviously.
nothing is an obstacle, nothing is counted exactly, and nothing. There's no true reality other than the Abishter himself. And Yisro comes, and he's like he delved into all the Vaidazar in the world. He delved into
Right.
all the different all the different whatever it is, like all
Theories
the
and gods and
theories,
yeah.
yeah, exactly, ideas and this and that and emunas and all that. And here he is, and he comes and he acknowledges that the truth is with the Yid and the truth is with the Abishter. And
Right.
when we hear it from someone like Yisrael, like
Right.
someone who did everything, finally, like we don't have to be misspelled from the world anymore. We don't have like the world has nothing left. Like the world has nothing right left of
Right.
no impression on us, no impression on us.
Yeah.
And finally, by Matan Torah, we were able to come face to face with that awareness that the world is not an obstacle. Nothing can impress us. Tyra mitzvah is the reality, is the Einan Melvado. The Eibishter is Einan.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That the Eibishter is Einan Melvado, that the awareness of that Antu Chad V'lei B'chushban. So now I'm veering off of the now we're
Right.
gonna get back to the Sikha, but this is something I just wanted to touch upon before I forget, that we bringing about this with Rabbi Strux, that to realize that the world is not an obstacle and Einan Melvado. In previous generations, we had to meditate on Hasidus, meditate on godliness, and close our eyes to reality, right? Because the reality was so oppressing, was so hostile to Yidden, that even after Matan Torah, and even after they went into Eretz Yisrael, there was still galus, and we still had to go through this whole process of refining the world. The Rebbe says that in the Sikha, and going through the Midbar Ha'amim, going through uh, facing these challenges with the nations of the world and pushing Yiddishkeit through these barriers of that were imposed upon us by the nations of the world, until the world finally became refined and accept Yiddishkeit and Torah mitzvahs.
Right.
What was I going to say? So Einon Milvado, like to be able to realize the Antu Chad V'lei B'chushban, the essence of the Eibishter, how nothing comes into consideration in the face of the Eibishter. Torah mitzvahs is everything, and so on and so forth. The world is not an obstacle. This awareness, like we had to come through it through like working in the darkness, working through the darkness, pushing through, just like the Frierdiker Rebbe is considered the Frierdiker Rebbe. He was his the Hilula is on Yud Shvat, is on the number 10. It's within the system of this world of Gullus. He
Right.
worked to preserve Yiddishkeit and to preserve Yiddishkeit in the framework of Gullus, while like
A
um,
real Gallus, real
yes,
terrible oppression. Yeah.
exactly,
There was so
while
much opposition.
while facing the opposition, exactly.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's
So
why he built yeshivas, mikvahs, chadarim, everything
right.
under that, and continued. But that was to preserve Yiddishkeit as we know it.
Right.
But then came the Rebbe Melech Mashiach, who he's the one above the 10, that's 11. He came and he did a complete ufaratsta, bursting through all the barriers, sending shluchim all over the world, breaking through the framework of Yiddishkeit, breaking through the framework of this parameters of this world, sending shluchim, go on Mitzrayim. You're a
Right.
Yid, put on tefillin. You're a Yid, do
Right.
Shabbat candles, not taking anything into consideration at all.
Whatever level they're at, or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You're a Yid. You do Torah. You do mitzvah. And public displays of Yiddishkeit. This was unheard of.
Right.
So how do you come to recognize Einon Malvado today? You don't have to meditate, close your eyes, learn Chassidus all day long. It's really, you do a mitzvah and you see how like your mitzvah is affecting reality, and you see how the whole your hashgacha practice is being led. Your whole day, your life is being conducted by the Abishter through your Torah and mitzvahs.
Right.
So
I
yeah,
watched this beautiful video by the aisle. This son comes to the Rebbe and says, I mean, his father wasn't there. He said, my father is very not well. He's actually not even able to walk anymore. And he's a frum yid, so he's really upset that he can't go to shul like he used to. And the Rebbe responds, like, how do you respond to such a thing? Like, imagine like being stuck at home, not able to go to shul. Like, that was probably his whole frum life was, going to shul every day. And the Rebbe responds, he's a frum yid, right? You said he's a frum yid? The Rebbe says, if he's a frum yid, he knows that every mitzvah he does is a present to Hashem. So even giving tzedakah, or what did the Rebbe say kapitel tilm, or anything, it's a beautiful present to Hashem. So how could we not like sort of, I don't remember the exact words, but like how could you not be happy like about that? Like the fact that you're here and you could give a present to Hashem.
And then the Rebbe's signature is that you'll see things will get better, right?
Right.
And you'll
Exactly.
see that you'll do your mitzvahs and be the simchas, and you'll see that things will get better. Why? Because that's the antuchad v'lei b'chushban. That's the awareness of the 11. Is that that the world is not an obstacle. Our Torah and mitzvahs affect reality, conduct reality, and
yes. Yeah. So this is so powerful because like he could go to all the therapists in the world, but how are they going to help him? He can't walk. Like
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So even if he still can't walk till Mashiach, right? Because we have to agree that till we get the full geula, there's going to be pain, there's going to be suffering. We're still in Galus. We're not denying that reality.
Exactly.
But so that's what's confusing because we say open up your eyes to the reality of geula. However, we are in the reality of Galus. So it's always a constant thing. Yeah. So, but I think what helped me is recognizing that there's the geula mitzvah shlema, complete geula, and that's when we have every yid on board and everyone opens up their eyes. It can take a second, but it has to be every yid, and it has to be geula mitzvah shlema complete. Then we know there won't be any pain, there won't be any suffering. We're done, right?
Exactly.
And until then, every time we do a mitzvah, it's geula reality. Because why? Because the whole geula reality is when the power of a mitzvah.
Exactly.
So it's like a mini geula.
It's a mini geula
with your mitzvah.
Exactly. And
but I wouldn't know if that's called. Would you call that geula pratis? I guess that's a question for Rabbi Struck. Because what bothered me.
A geula pratis is like when I read it in the Dvar Malchus and the Rebbe's. First of all, there's geula pnimis where like you geula pnimis where you are internalizing, if you want to call it.
You're living with this message.
You're living with the message that the geula is here and now. Like nothing can be an interference in your avoda because we have the full ability to serve Hashem completely and affect ourselves in the world. So we're realizing that we're not held back by anything. That's like geula pnimis. That's your. It's not like you're.
Right.
You have to internalize. It doesn't require us to internalize anything. It's just an awareness. Oh, okay, I could do this. Oh my gosh, like
empowerment.
Yes, exactly. It's like I can
do this. Yeah.
Nothing's standing in my way. Exactly.
So the geula, because the reason most probably why the Rebbe is saying geula pnimis is because nowadays we already have the geula, I guess chitainis you could say, because the shibud Malchus are gone, right? All the governments who don't allow the Jews to fulfill Torah mitzvahs are all gone. So externally we don't have any interference, any obstacles fulfilling Torah mitzvahs. So the only interference is ourselves, right? And once we so a geula pnimis would be, like I said, like if a person is doing a mitzvah, so I guess it's connected. It's the same idea. You're doing a mitzvah, it means you internalize the fact that you can live, you could fulfill Torah mitzvah. I guess it's very simple.
It's also the awareness of geula is that it's imminent. It's the
like
awareness that it's available to us, and at any moment, like we will be redeemed. So, and that it's so imminent, and everything I do brings Mashiach. Everything I do brings Mashiach. And so, what like we were gonna say from the Sicha is that after the Rebbe explains this whole journey that the Yidden went through in the Midbar Ha'amim and to come into to receive the Torah, to come into Eretz Yisrael, and it was this whole process, and then they needed to internalize the Pneumius, this awareness of the Eibishter that the world is not an obstacle. The world was created for the Jewish people to perform Torah mitzvahs and affect the whole world, and nothing comes in the face of the Eibishter. Nothing comes into consideration in front of this awareness. So this whole like having to come to process this and internalize this, the Yidden went throughout until they received the Torah, until they came into Eretz Yisrael, then even after Eretz Yisrael in the Galus, and all the way through like the Nisias of the Rebbeim until the Frierdiker Rebbe, and now our Rebbe Malchus Mashiach is announcing all the 42 journeys in the Midbar Ha'amim have been complete. Everything that was needed in order to
process it.
process the Antuchat V'lei
internalize.
B'chushban, the Gilui, the revelation of Antuchat V'lei B'chushban, that the Ibishter is everything and nothing comes into consideration, entire mitzvahs, the world's not an obstacle. This is all available to us fully here and now, because no process is necessary anymore. Everything has been complete. The avoda that was necessary for the Gilui of to enter into Eretz Yisrael b'shleimus is complete. To receive Torah
Right.
Chadasha is complete.
So what if I don't feel it, right? And what if you're telling me, oh, this gula now? What do you mean? I'm suffering. I have this, right? Like it feels like invalidated. That's what we want to discuss.
Exactly. So I think we mentioned that so there's these two thrusts, like even when the Rebbe speaks about it in the Shira, there's the thrust of the yearning for it, for Geula, and there's the thrust of uniting with it. So so there's the admasai, like,
Right.
we are fully acknowledging that we are still in Galus, and that's
And all the pain and all the suffering. Yeah.
yes, and that's admasai, but that means that I'm not identifying with the Geula here and now. It means that I see Geula as a thing of the future.
Right.
And it's not in my grasp. So I'm like
you sort of
crying
feel
out
like
to the Eibishter, helpless, this sense
right.
of crying out to the Eibishter, Admasai, like help me, So until when? So and then there's
Right.
Yechia Melech. The thrust of Yechia Melech is I'm empowered. I have the reality of the Gula is here. I can affect Gula now. I have Tyran Mitzvahs. I have the Kayach of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Mashiach.
Right.
And
so I think I was thinking about it because what I was thinking, first of all, we were talking about last time Etzem and Gila, right? Like you're saying, Yechia Melech is the Achraza, is the Etzem, right? The fact that right here, right now, we have Mashiach, we have the Rebbe Melech Mashiach, who's helping us, who's guiding us, who's giving us all the tools we need to fulfill Torah mitzvahs and have a good, healthy, happy life, right?
and bring Mashiach.
Right. So on the other hand, we have the Giloi, right? Which is there is the taking into account. So the Giloi is you said the Admasai, right? We're taking into account the fact that there's pain and suffering. We're taking into account where I'm up to, like what's my feelings, I guess, right? What's my state of mind, state of consciousness, right? Where am I in my healing process, right? So all these things. So how can we combine them? So that's what I realized. Like there's Etzem Giloi, but then there's the Atzmos that's able to hold both of them together, able to hold both opposites together at the same time, somehow, some way, right?
So the Rebbe always does that. Are you gonna? You want to finish
Right.
your idea?
So I know. So how would you in your life? How could you see that, for example? Like how could you see being able to take into consideration your life, where you're at, in your feelings, and your everything I mentioned, and also to be like fully empowered.
Wait, can I cut in? I'm just trying to
Sure.
I'm probably gonna echo everything you're saying, but I just want to guess.
No, I'm very happy.
No, I want to make sure I'm following. You're saying that you're supposed to hold both. Amasai and Yechia Melech?
Yeah. You can hold both. Yeah. It's Tayu and Tikkun. That's what the Rebbe said by Chavkas Nisan, right?
But he is
what
saying
a challenge.
but
wow.
he is saying that even though Admasai still we still have the yearning, right? The Shira, the yearning aspect of the Shira, we have that. It's not that we have to hold it. We have it. We're still in Galus. And now we want to move towards the Iskalalus, towards Yachi, towards being that.
Right. So bracha, are you saying sort of it's like
don't worry, we don't need to know how to do anything special.
Right, like that's what I'm saying. Like
we don't have to be these big gurus to know how to do.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like bracha, what you're saying is that the naturally we have tikkun. That's what you're saying. Naturally we're gonna take into account. Right. Naturally we're gonna take into account our pain and suffering. We're gonna take into account the fact that we're holding in our feelings, we're holding in our right.
Yeah, that's what the Rebbe says in the Sikha. We have that.
No, but if you ever try to tell someone else or have a discussion, I mean, it's really obvious. They're just reflecting your own doubts. But if you're trying to tell someone else, like, open your eyes, anything along those lines, right. They're like, but the Gullus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think, and like, it's hard to even have that conversation because you're like, oh, I know the Gullus. I don't.
We know it too well, unfortunately.
Like, wait, you don't. 1 minute, I don't know anyone that doesn't suffer. I don't know anyone that hasn't had a challenge. Like, I don't know. So yeah, it's just funny to me. But to be like, yeah, but what if we try to embrace something else? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's normal. Like I'm just thinking for myself.
Yeah.
What is
I'm just thinking for myself. It's hard for me to identify with something that's so foreign to us. I'm saying it's this is the Mesiras Nefesh, I think, that Rabbi Strux was saying. It's like you have to, like, it's like Mesiras Nefesh. You have to be willing to say, okay, what I thought till
Yeah.
now is all wrong. Right. Like everything I thought till now is all wrong. Basically, that's very I guess invalidating. Right. So I was actually speaking with someone, she was telling me to I could let myself learn because I also get defensive like when someone tries to like tell me how to teach differently, like, oh, forget it, I'm not a good teacher, like, forget it, like, that I did one mistake, like, I'm the worst. So it's like we got this all or nothing thing, like, okay, so forget it, like, I'm not whatever, I'm just in galus and I can never get this. um so that's what's the power of a mitzvah. Like, look, you did a mitzvah, like, you just did a mitzvah. Sorry, you can't argue with me. You just did a mitzvah. You just did geula. It's like a fact of reality. You just did a mitzvah. You affected the world. You changed the world to the better. You're ending suffering.
And also, can I just
Yeah,
add
please.
to that?
Yeah.
Malky, did you want to say something else?
I have a lot to say about opening your eyes and like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not even so much to say. It's more about questions. Like,
yeah, okay.
Because I mean, it's the only relief, like especially when it comes to like Tisha B'Av, like like any like around from like the 3 weeks, I'm like that like, oh my gosh, I just destroyed the base of myself kind of feel, like I really feel it, and it's you feel like I feel like devastated every time, and like every day also like I'm anticipating Mashiach daily, and like to feel like, oh, today, like, I'm like, oh man, like I didn't do it today. Like I could have done, like, I don't know, like it's such a, and like the only relief is like, to feel like, oh, it's already here. And like, I get to like lean back into that.
It's
And
happening anyways.
And I'm like, yeah, like I get to like, yeah, I get to like lean into this amazing geula of like it's already here, and like we're sitting at the table of the shara burning, these things are like, and like the world is already like, everyone's ready, everything's good, everything's in place, but like in a way, like that's how I like, it's really like something that I like, sit with, and like, and I feel better, like I feel like okay. but no, first of all, no one can relate to that. I feel like I'm like the, I want to know
I could relate that. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
fine. So that's why I'm on our group, like I was like Shabbat being like,
yeah, because otherwise
here,
I get so helpless. Like I feel so helpless.
Exactly. Right, exactly. So like this, it's a gift that the Rebbe gave us to say like it's already here, and just but I feel like but you're deluding yourself, like like the gullus just wants to come back in, like everyone wants to, especially if you speak to someone else, but even for myself, it's like, who are you helping? What does this do? And it's, wow,
I think what you're helping is it's our generation's biggest Sahara. I feel one of them at least is to pull us down, to get us depressed. Like, forget it, we're never gonna do this.
Yeah,
that's what
yeah, you're right.
That,
you're
like,
right.
Look, another day passed and Mashiach's not here, so we lose, Chas v'shalom. And this is the Miriam really felt the pain, but somehow she had such strong bitachon. Like, whoa, where did she have that to make those tambourines while these children are being killed? Like, Empire's bathing in the blood, and she's making tambourines to dance with.
exactly. Wow, that's so powerful. So I was actually gonna mention, like, when you say, okay, you just did a mitzvah, and the power of your mitzvah, you're creating gula. Gula is becoming a fact of reality just by your action, your 1D. So for example, like I shared a story that I was discussing in family planning, and like encouraging a friend to like teaching her what the Rebbe says about having more children, and then we were speaking about the women in Mitzrayim and how they had more children despite the horrifying gullahs and the horrifying circumstances and so on and so forth. So in this generation, so that was the etzem by the Jewish women in Mitzrayim, is that they continue to have children despite all of the hardships. But the etzem in our generation that's coming begilui is that women are continuing to have children. We're doing what the Rebbe wants. We're continuing to have children. But gilui is that we see the bracha in it. We see that it brings more nachas, more parnasa, and then we want it, and then we do more, and we encourage more women. And you see the Rebbe's brachas, and like we're saying, it's not just we're doing Mesiras. We're not just doing Mesiras Nefesh here. We're actually seeing how the brachas of the Eibishter are materializing through our deeds.
Wow, I love that, because what you're saying is the difference between Mitzrayim and now is in Mitzrayim they didn't see the results when they had their children. They saw their children being killed. Like they saw it was going to the Nilas. they didn't know that the children afterwards were being saved by
Right.
Hashem and
Exactly.
guarded. But we actually see it right now, right here, when we have children, right?
Exactly. We're seeing
and
all the beauty
if a
and the
person
truth
says,
of
I
it.
don't see it, I just see that my kids bring me a lot of
It's all right.
lot of headache. It's just a matter of opening our eyes, I guess.
It's just a matter of opening our eyes. So basically, I was gonna go back to your previous question, what we were talking about being in Gullus. But what you're telling me to acknowledge Geula, but I'm suffering. I'm like just experiencing Gullus right now. Well, the Rebbe, like if you take it to the Rebbe Sicha, it's like the Rebbe saying, okay, well, since we're still in Gullus, clearly Mashiach hasn't come yet, but we have the entire Geula Amitis Veshlim in front of us. But clearly Mashiach hasn't come yet, so which means we're still in Gullus, which means there's still something we can do, which means
Right.
I can take this frustration with Gullus and say,
Wow.
hey, like, yeah, what else can I do? What haven't I done? And actually, I was listening to a shir by Rabbi Zimroni Chik Alef Shalom. He's like a huge, like king of Dvar Malchus, king of like Mashiach and Geula and publicizing Mashiach and Geula. He was a big mashachet. So he's like, no other leader in the world, like every other leader, like focused on preserving Yiddishkeit. But here comes the Rebbe, and the Rebbe tells you, if there's something you haven't done yet, do it. If there's one avenue that you didn't utilize yet, utilize it. Do all that you can until you completely conquer the whole world. Who else do you see other than the Hasidim of the Rebbe going around like crazy for Mashiach, crazy for like conquering the world? What's the next step? What's the next big thing? What's the next, like, who else goes around with this mindset of like, what else haven't I done yet? Like, what else can I do? Like, so that's like the koyach of Yechi Melech that the Rebbe empowered us to bring Mashiach here and now and to recognize that it's imminent and to utilize all of our koychais, everything that we have, like to do it in a way that like will be expressing the truth of Yiddishkeit, of Hasidishkeit, in everything that we do. So
yeah, it's funny because they say that if a Lubavitch is on a train or like goes to appointment or something, they can't just go like guilt free. Always feeling guilty. Okay, I should speak to that person. I should speak to that. Can't just relax. But yeah, to do it in a way that we wouldn't have to feel guilty, but we could feel empowered, right?
Empowered.
That we could. This is what I found so interesting. I was saying this on the group that I really related to this. She was saying in this book, God Said What, Mrs. Miriam Raquel Feldman, how she became from that. Before she was like a hippie, right? She was very into, like, she would go and take care of baby seals, I think, that were not well, and then she would go to like foreign countries to help out the impoverished, and because she was feeling this need to end suffering in the world, so she was trying to do her part to end suffering in the world. And then she started learning the Rebbe's approach about she went to Machon Chana. Rabbi Majeski was teaching her how every what's end suffering, every mitzvah, right? Every Torah, every halacha that you're doing, because the whole time she's saying, God said what? Like, God said that if I make sure the milk doesn't go in the meat, that's gonna, like, what does he care about that? And we're saying, wait, when the milk doesn't go in the meat and you're making sure that the milk doesn't go in the meat, you are actually ending suffering. You're actually bringing this utopia of Mashiach. And so she's like, oh, so I just have to switch. Like, I thought till now this is what's going to end suffering, but really it's this that's going to end suffering. And so that's how, like, she went into it, like, that's how she, like, connected to it. So I thought that was pretty powerful.
Beautiful. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's like that empowerment, so like, I could end suffering.
And suffering, also, right. And also, like, yeah, so 1 second. So, oh my gosh, something's happening. Okay. So also, when we're no longer impressed by the world or impressed by the Yetzer Hara, and we actually have this awareness of Yechi and, my Torah and mitzvahs and the Rebbe Melech Mashiach, and like, so when we have this awareness, and again, we're not impressed by the world, so we have such freedom. Can you hear me?
Yeah, freedom.
Okay. So we have the freedom to actually, like, to explore, to experiment, to do new things, to try out new ways and projects and this and ideas and so on and so forth. When we realize, okay, the Mitzrayim are not running after us anymore, or the communist Russia or whatever it is, and like we have our our responsibilities, we have our whatever it is, our challenges, our responsibilities, things that we have to attend to, and but really, like, it's all an opportunity to create geula in our lives,
so
and
this is
surroundings.
You reminded me. What was my other thing I wanted to say? You finished?
I don't really
because you were saying the opportunity. Like,
the opportunity. Right? That's the thing. It's to see the opportunity. That's the whole awareness of Geula here and now that we could bring Mashiach is actually that you have an opportunity in front of you and it's always there.
Right, so that's how it makes it not invalidating, because we're saying, yes, you have a challenge, and this challenge is an opportunity for growth, or opportunity for either recognizing that it's just an illusion, which is, I would say, iskafia, sort of the avodah of iskafia, where like, even if, let's say, I have these feelings of depression, or I have these feelings of upsetness or whatever, I'm going to move forward and it will slide to the side and I'll realize that it was just an illusion, right? Like, I'm going to keep on strong in my avodah mitzvahs, or I could transform darkness to light. I could somehow take this pain and suffering, like you said, maybe channel it. What else would you say? How would it be like this hapcha on the challenge?
Well, a lot of people who experience pain and loss, they create a cause and they work for this cause to like that other people should have the tools to deal with it, and that other people should see miracles in their life the way they did, or whatever it is.
And I feel that for myself. Like, whenever I have a challenge and then I overcome it, like, I want to help people who also have that challenge. Like, now that I got the wisdom for it, and if I can help them, why not, right? Exactly. So like, so let's say I had it's a very interesting concept of this. I think I discussed this before, how I had this physical pain, and it wasn't going away with anything the doctors suggested. And then once I recognized it was all emotional, and I dealt with the emotional part of it, and Dr. Sarno explains that you have to fully like change your frame of mind. It's almost like this concept of like, open up your eyes. Like, we are not talking physical anymore. We're done with physical. We tried everything physical. It's not physical. Wow. You have to say, this is 100% emotion. Like, this is 100% something going on in my emotions, in my subconscious, whatever it is. That once you make that switch in the head, it was so cool. I was all better. I was physically better.
Wow.
It was not like a mini like example, like I guess like a formula of Geula.
Okay, so but how does that is that all we need? Like, or is that meaning?
No. So this is
that
first of all,
the beyond all? Like, is that how?
Right, we're beyond healing, as you said. Right, we're beyond.
Exactly,
healing.
We're saying that Geula is beyond healing.
Right. So I'm using this as a muscle to explain. Open up your eye. Exactly. Because here I'm thinking physical, right? And I'm like, like, especially like back pain. Like, people say like, oh, the structure here, and the disc slipped over there, and Dr. Sarno says, sorry, all these structural abnormalities, there's people who have all these things and they're totally fine. Yeah. So it's not physical. It's not the structure. Exactly. So it's that switch in the head, that opening up our eyes, like, it's an illusion. We think it's this, but it's because we're just not, it's because it's not just that we're not just like diluting ourselves, is that we're just missing we're just not paying attention to something that's in front of us. This is what the Rebbe is saying. So, the Geula is here. It is in front of you. Like, if you just pay attention to it and pay more attention to that and invest yourself more in that, then you're going to realize that is really the reality of today. Like, right. That's what they say about kids. The more you pay attention to the negative behavior, you'll get more of it. You pay more attention to the positive behavior, you'll get more. Right. So I guess that's part of the traffic design, right? All of the healing modalities today, and the parenting methods and the marriage methods, it's all like a reflection of a reflection of like of the Geula reality, that this is here, it's in front of you, and you can have the opportunity. Right. So this is also what's cool about Dr. Sarno's thing. Also, is connected. It's like, I'm talking as a muscle, So what Dr. Sarno says is that people say, "What do you mean? I'm really in pain. How can you tell me I'm not in pain?" It's like, yes, you are really physically in pain, and it's the recognition that we're not saying, "Oh, okay, you're making these things up because you're just stressed out." No, you're not making it up. You're really in pain. You're really physically in pain, and to realize that what's happening over here is the subconscious is trying to get out. Hijack. Yeah, it's trying to stop you from feeling the emotion, so it distracts you with the physical pain. Oh, it's distracting you. I see. So how would that be the nimshal? Oh yeah, all our grievances and sorrows could distract us from. So the whole thing, why is it not a process? Okay, the whole process has been done, so on and so forth. So why is it not a process? Because Galus is Geula.
Like that's why it's not. First
right.
of all, it's galus is geula, so
Because,
that's
like
it
you
doesn't
say,
require a process. Like we've been
what do you
through
mean
the
by
process.
Galus of Gula?
That the gola, right? Gola and geula is the same letters, the same reality. Like the whole point of geula is not to cancel out and nullify
Exactly.
the galus. It's actually to
Yes,
realize
this is a big point.
this whole world is for the Torah mitzvahs of the Yidden, is to assist us, is
right.
to bring us to our gola. So
So by the way,
so when
that's our answer because we were saying about invalidating. So there you go. We're not canceling out. We're saying in whatever situation you're in, whatever feelings you're feeling, whatever, this is all part of the Gula. Everything
this is where the geula happens.
happens.
So because it's no point in okay, end to all pain and suffering. Mashiach comes, takes us, and the
Right.
geula, and
Right.
happily ever after. But the whole point, the whole pele of geula is that the Rabbi Melech Mashiach accomplishes it through us in galus, in our circumstances of
Exactly.
galus, and even when we still have our bgadim atzayim, our filthy garments, so to speak, we're not perfected, we're not
In
totally
our
perfect,
pajamas.
and we're in our pajamas or whatever it is, and exactly. But so this is where like Yidden rise to their calling, to their mission, to their purpose of Torah and mitzvahs, and that's where we see the greatness of the Rabbi Melech Mashiach, the greatness of the Eibishter, the greatness of the Yidden, the greatness of Torah and mitzvahs, that it's here and now in the time of Galus, in the circumstances of Galus, that we're able to
Like
bring
picture
Mashiach.
these completely tattooed people, with the I'm just picturing these tattooed muscular wearing their undershirts and I don't know what shorts and putting on this
Wrapping
tefillin and
wrapping
putting on
tefillin
tefillin
on
and
other
starting to
people.
cry.
No, and also wrapping it on other people.
Oh, and starting to get emotional. Like, where's that from?
Exactly. It's from the Metzias of the Rebbe of Antu Chad V'Loi B'Chushban. By him, like he doesn't take anything into consideration. Like everything everything can exist. Like even the craziest
Yeah, we're so used to it.
extremes, the craziest extremes. Like who knew that me, like person who like grew up, whatever, like in the dance world, in the secular world, would like and like going through public schools and having best friends that are totally goyim and who also wear, by the way, a hijab. I had literally friends growing up. My good friends were wearing hijabs. Like,
Wow.
like that's how I grew up. And who knew that I would like eventually be a chassid of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach spreading Gula Mashiach? Like, where did that come from? That's called Pelet. That's called
Right.
Etzem Begilui. That's called like the Chibur HaHofachim. Like that's like the extremes coming together. The Pelet of the Gula Amitis Vashlema. Like me,
Just look at
doing
me.
Torah and mitzvahs, like raising a family of like Jewish kids who are going in the ways of Torah and
Wow.
mitzvahs. Like
Baruch
it's
Hashem.
crazy coming from where
Wow.
I come from. It's really unheard of. Like it's impossible.
Yes, exactly.
So
Wow.
and so if we
So,
only look at where like how the Rebbe affected us, that's really what the opening our eyes means. You see how the Rebbe affects you. You see how like the wonders and miracles in your life, and clearly you could only we're holding by Geula, and we could be more and more participating in that and bringing it out, because we are the Geula, like we are the Eibishter's Geula. It's really all in us. It's only to bring it out in us, the whole Galus. It's just to bring it out that we are not impressed by anything. We're not affected by any circumstances. The whole, like we are like that Shalheves Olame Alea. We are like these independent sources of influence of Torah and mitzvahs in the world.
beautiful. Wow, I love that. So it's that we're this shining lights, right? And that's with our challenges, despite our challenges, or with our challenges, or together. Because of our challenges, we shine even brighter, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Beautiful.
the colors. That's the thing.
Because of the challenges, we're showing how gulazik we are, how atzmistic we are, right? Like how
atzmi, yeah. How we're so atzmi, yeah, exactly.
We're so atzmi that no matter the
so
challenges,
atzmi.
Right? We're just obviously going to do time mitzvahs, no matter what.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how atzmi we are.
Yeah, and that was more the future Rebbe's times, and our times is also challenges, and it's with our challenges. I think it's more ishapa nowadays than iskafia. I think there is more of that, where we work with our challenges, right? We work with where we're at.
With ourselves.
Right. We work with ourselves whichever healing process we're up to. um, and together the tikkun of working with ourselves, right? And I can help myself. That's also, by the way, like that I can help myself. That's the empowerment of Gula. Like I'm not stuck at the level I'm at, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I can help myself, and
You said that.
I could go beyond myself. I could reach within and get great wisdom from the challenges.
Exactly.
A lot to.
We're not limited by anything, but
we're not limited by it, for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Like if we start feeling limited, then there's something not gulitic there.
And that's also okay because we can still realize Gula.
Oh, right. Oh yeah, for sure. It's fine if you still feel limited and you feel like in a bad mood.
Exactly. That's also okay. You're not limited. You're not limited by the feeling of being limited.
Exactly. It's not your identity. Your identity is your atzmos, which is Torah mitzvahs, which is Hashem, and that's always the same. So even if you're in a bad mood and you do a mitzvah, you still got the mitzvah.
But also that's the thing, is that it's that is that Torah and mitzvahs work. It's not just like, okay, now I have to get myself to do what Hashem wants. No, like I want to do what Hashem wants because I know that, like, I want to do what Hashem wants, and because that's ultimately what works. That's the Einon Milvado. Nothing else works. Torah and mitzvahs works because Einon Milvado, because this world conducts itself through Torah and mitzvahs. Like nothing else works. You know.
I like that.
And what's the Hayra? I just want to go through the Hayras.
Oh yeah, Hayra.
The Haysif Lahashlim.
A different time, I guess, about Besor Sagula. That's the
we said the Besor Sagula. Nishlemu. Okay, here. Vehashlima Saikaris Bezen. Nases Basiri ve Haychadasar Bechaydash Echadasar Beshanazai. So in this year of Yud Shvat, Shnasar Baim B'Shtaim, it's already 42 years since the first Yud Shvat. And that has to do with the Hashem Membeis, Shal Yadei Nasim Kol Inyanei Aliyais. So there's an elevation. So all of the Aliyais, the 42 through the 42 name of Hashem, Shekvar Nishlemu Kol Aliyais. So the whole thing, the Shleimus HaYikaris Bazen Nases Basiri V'Chadasar. So on the Yud Shvat and Yud Alef Shvat, now we can realize how everything has already been fulfilled, actualized, completed. Kol Aliyais, the Membeis Yemei HaYilula, all of the ascents of the 42 days of the Hilula V'chol Ha'aliyos Sha'aliyei Masin, all the ascents through all of our Avaida in the time of Galus, of Torah mitzvahs in the time of Galus, in Midbar, in the Be'em Beis Hashanim, in the 42 years that have passed since the Yud Shvat, the first Yud Shvat, Ba'isaf al Shleimus Devahi Harbaim Shana. Even like it's even more than the 40 years that it takes to understand your teacher and process everything he taught you. So we're even past that. Right. And it's like the 42 journeys that through the nations, in the midbar of the nations, that's in this generation, this last generation of Galus, first
Which
generation. This is Tess, right before Tess.
Oh, before Tess. Okay, right.
Take if umiyan mamish nasesa knisa, since everything has been fulfilled and completed and actualized, and so now take it from Yad Mamash Nasesa Knisa le'Eretz Hatayba Rechava beGolamit Yisrael Shlema. We can enter into Eretz Yisrael like with the full complete redemption. She'aztia, and then there'll be the shlemus of the Gilui of Antuchad, of that awareness of the Eibishter and in the world. So and the Hayra is that we should.
By the way, I'm getting really excited. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, I'm really into this now. For me, tikkun means iskafir is hapcha. Why? Because it depends what tool you need at that point. For example, there's a yam yam. If you have a daiga, you have a worry. Either you yisichanu. So either yisichanu could be with a samach, means don't think about it, or yisichanu means with a sin, talk about it.
Okay.
I think it's like the iskafir and the hapcha. So depending what you need to do with that challenge. But like I thought that was I'm like getting excited about this iskafir and hapcha.
I feel like anything we do at this point is bringing geula. Anything we do in whichever way we do it. Anything good thing, whichever way we do it, and every person knows
whatever brings you joy, and as long as it's within halacha, and
So okay, so can you go over just like what the highrise are?
I rise by Yud or
It's in test Yud.
okay. So Ma'aseh B'Payil, to add, and Lahashlim, to complete, in all the things connected with the Yom HaIlula, learning the Torah of the Rebbe, going in his ways of spreading Torah and Chassidus, including making Farbrengen. This is our first Farbrengen.
Exactly.
With Simcha and Shira, singing, like the lesson and the kayach that we get from Shabbos, Shabbos Shira, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another Haira is to sing when we daven. That right now we're preparing the beginning of Shir Chadash of the Asabavai.
Right.
Very exciting. I wonder what the Shir Chadash is going to be. Is it Ichia Dinenu in a different tune?
It's all of the Yidden keeping Torah and mitzvahs in Eretz Yisrael b'shleimos through the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach and
gosh,
proclaiming
wow.
the Sefer Sir is part of it.
It's just like amazing. It's so exciting to think about it. Okay. And sorry, we're gonna get Gaza too. Sorry, Trump.
Exactly.
It's part of Eretz no?
Well, they're only like taking it away from them in order to give it to us.
The Tuma and the Klippas. Exactly.
In order to give it to us.
Exactly, right.
It's all in order to give it to us.
But we're done with the steps. We want to know.
By the way, that's what the Rebbe said, that is like through the midbar of the Amim, we refined the seven emotional faculties, and now we're up to the Kini Kini Kamani, the intellectual faculties. Right. It's that awareness that everything was created for us. And
exactly.
So like now that like this whole thing, Vayhi Beshalach Parais Am, it's like that the Bchina of like Antu Chad V'lei B'chushban, that like one that's above the 10, and then Anan, that the nations captured it, that it's so that we can retrieve it and internalize it and affect the world with it. It really reminds me, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like Trump is literally just taking it in order to give it to us. Like that's what it is all about.
Because he recognizes more that it belongs to us.
Exactly. He's recognizing the Mila of the Yidden, the truth of Torah and mitzvahs, that the Eretz Yisrael belongs to us. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so specifically connection to tefillah on the Geula mitzvah shlema, that besides for the yearning, right? Besides for the admasai, the Geula.
By the way, I feel like, sorry for interrupting, I feel like we really need to be publicizing this now that you brought it up, that he's only taking it in order to give it to us.
Yeah. By the way, that's so much a better feeling. So I wasn't getting a good feeling about Trump.
I like that feeling. I like that.
You said it.
because that's the whole thing, is that the nations will recognize the truth and they'll want to give us all of the parts of Eretz Yisrael voluntarily. And I think that's exactly what Trump intends to do, obviously.
Right. I think he really does. Yeah. I really think he's just trying to help Israel.
Exactly. Yeah. Like get rid of
they can't deal with Gaza.
Get rid of the whatever. Yeah.
Get rid of all the klippas for
us. Of the leftovers. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So besides for the feeling of yearning for Geula till now, we also has to be now the main and the ikr, the feeling of simcha. And the Rebbe emphasizes simcha from the fact that the Geula is coming, the payal mamish, in this second mamish.
In this second mamish, that I highlighted that part exactly. We have to. It's the awareness that the Geula is coming now, in this second mamish now. There you go. That's living with Mashiach. When we speak about living with Mashiach, or living with the Geula, it's living with the consciousness, the awareness, the knowledge that Geula is coming right here, right now. Geula, the Geula ba b'fayil mamish b'rega zeh mamish. Like that's living with the Geula. It's not about reaching these higher states of consciousness and like you know, how much can I meditate on my feelings and emotions, bringing Hashem into them. That's nice for whoever can do that. That doesn't speak to all Rov Bnei Israel can't do that. Children can't, like, not everybody can meditate and become like these like spiritually like high level, you know, beings. So, but everybody can recognize that the Geula is coming here and now. Everybody can live, and everybody can live with that. If Mashiach's going to walk in right here, right now, that means that I can do my Torah and mitzvahs, b'shleimus. We said that in the past. That means that I can not.
I tell us my first graders, we see the fact that the Goyim nowadays are helping us so much. That means that Geula is so close. Like they understand that.
Exactly.
It's so exciting.
And that means that I could do more of my avoda of Torah and mitzvahs and spreading Mashiach, and to do it b'shleimus if the Rebbe is going to walk in right now. But what does it mean b'shleimus? Last time we used the word perfectly. It's not. That's not the word. B'shleimus means all the way. I can go all the way with my Torah and mitzvahs. I can go all the way with spreading Mashiach, and because I know that Mashiach is coming right here, right now. That means living with Mashiach, living with Geula.
I'm not limited. Oh, I like that. I'm not limited by any.
with the fact that it's imminent. It's here. It's now. It's imminent. Here now.
Wow. I love it. Oh my gosh.
So that's
Very good.
living with Mashiach. We
Thank
don't have to
you.
become these spiritual beings.
Let's do that. Because I can't. I'm too busy.
But we are, we're very spiritual people. But it has the Geula is for all the Jewish people to no exception, with no exception. Even
Right,
someone who knows nothing.
Yeah, and the Rebbe, but also we're not taking away anything. Like the Vita of Hispaninus, for example, is still here. It just might look differently than the older generations, but we have the full access to all of
And
it.
you can do it. You could utilize it to your advantage to become to awaken your emotions and so on and so forth, of course.
Yeah, so I'm saying we have access to everything.
To everything of the past and everything of the future.
And we should utilize it. Exactly.
Yes, I love that. We have access to everything of the past and everything of the future. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
All right, Kaya.
Oh, anyone else has it's Malki, or it's only us two.
1 second. So let's just end off. Long live the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Shlita, King Mashiach, forever and ever. Yechi Adinenu Marinu Rabbeinu Melech Mashiach Einam Vayt. And I'm going to stop the recording.
Thank you, everyone who joined on the recording.